As I was carving Genesis chapter 8, verses 8 to 12 seem different than the rest. Now, this is the section where Noah sends out the dove after the flood. And at first, I wasn't sure why they were different, but there was something that made them stand out. And then it struck me. Noah's not just sending out any dove, any bird. He's sending out his pet. There's an intimacy in the language that tells us this. It's subtle, but if you read the text carefully, it's there. And I'll show it to you. And there's also a sadness there because in the end, his dove doesn't come back. She never returns. I don't know about you guys, but I always get stressed out when I think about losing one of my cats, having it disappear and not return, not knowing what happened, wondering if it's okay or if it's injured and trying to get back. This is one of my cats. She's always hanging around. She's either over there or right now she's sitting on the desk. But this relationship between Noah and his dove is so interesting to me because it's in the middle of the flood story where the earth is being destroyed. The Bible takes a moment to focus in on this curious relationship between an old man and his dove. It gives us an insight, not just into the character of Noah, but also into the Bible and into ourselves. To put it in context, at this point in the flood story, the rain has stopped and the ark is resting on the mountains, but Noah really can't see very far. Consider this. The story says that it rained for 40 days and then it floated around for another 150 days. That's more than 6 months altogether. So he waits. And then he first sends out a raven and then a dove. So why am I saying that this dove was his pet? In the story, there are 4 interactions with that dove. They are amazing when you read the story slowly. In the first mention of the dove, in verse 8, the text says, "And he sent out the dove from him." That extra "from him" is odd. It could just as well have said, "And he sent out the dove." It's already clear that he's the one sending her. Why add "from him"? Biblical Hebrew doesn't waste words. You can see in these tablets that the English is almost always longer than the Hebrew. So when it includes a phrase that's unnecessary, it's usually deliberate. And here it's telling us how personally involved Noah was. He sent the dove out, not just from the ark, but from himself. And that idea is emphasized when the Hebrew uses the definite article. It doesn't say a dove, it says the dove, ha-yonah, which suggests that this wasn't just any bird, but a particular bird, one that Noah knew. She is a specific. I can easily envision Noah trapped in the ark for over 6 months, making friends with a bird, a dove, visiting it every day, maybe bringing it special treats, befriending it, letting go of his anxieties as he pampers it. It would be a very human interaction. In verse 9, when the dove returns, the text says, "And he put forth his hand and took her and brought her to him into the ark." It gives us an image, a man reaching out to retrieve a dove, lost and exhausted, and pulling it to himself into safety. That's an unusual amount of physical description for the Bible, especially for a bird. Why do we need to know that he reached out, that he took her, that he brought her back to him inside the ark? Why not just say the dove returned? Because something's happening here that isn't just functional. This isn't just a test of whether the flood waters have receded. It's a moment of connection, of care between a person who has gone through a terrible trauma, seeing the world destroyed, and his little companion. We don't get much of Noah's inner world in the flood narrative. But here, just for a few verses, we see him act with real tenderness. Most of you know that I'm carving the Bible in granite, and that's a slow process, and it allows me to notice and reflect on unexpected elements in the verses I'm working on. And these verses about the dove in Genesis are a great example of that. And the story's not yet finished. But if you're interested in finding out more about this project, I have put a link in the description below. I'm carving the Bible word for word in order, so if you would like to follow along, please subscribe. In verses 10 and 11, Noah sends the dove out again. He takes another risk with his pet, and she comes back with an olive leaf. In this verse, she's almost like a scout returning to its master with good news. This is very much the role of an animal companion, an obedient, attentive servant, connected to her master's purpose. But then comes verse 12. And he waited yet other 7 days, and sent forth the dove, but she returned to him no more. The text could have said, she did not return, but instead we get, she returned no more to him. The emphasis is personal, to him. It doesn't say she didn't return to the ark. It's a personal loss, a personal diminishment. It's clear to me that he sent out his dove, a pet that was dear to him. But let's give this sequence context. I'll read the verses I'm carving today, Genesis 23 to 8:12. And every living being was destroyed that was on the ground, both man and cattle and creeping things, and fowls of the heavens, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah alone remained, and what was with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed on the earth 150 days. And God remembered Noah, and all the animals, and all the cattle that were with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided. And the fountains of the deep and the windows of heaven were closed, and the pour of rain from heaven was stopped. And the waters retired from the earth, continually retiring, and in the course of 150 days the waters abated. And the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, on the mountains of Ararat. And the waters abated continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the 1st day of the month, the tops of the mountains were seen. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. And he sent out the raven, which went forth, going to and fro, until the waters were dried from the earth. And he sent out the dove from him to see if the waters had become low on the ground. But the dove found no resting place for the sole of her foot, and returned to him into the ark. For the waters were on the whole earth. And he put forth his hand, and took her, and brought her to him into the ark. And he waited yet other 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came to him at eventide. And behold, in her beak was an olive leaf plucked off. And Noah knew that the waters had become low on the earth. And he waited yet other 7 days, and sent forth the dove, but she returned no more to him. That's how the relationship ends. Not in drama or tragedy, but in absence. She doesn't come back. The dove is lost to him. And I can't help but to say that I find that really sad. I'm not sure why. In the story, the whole world has been drowned. People, animals, birds. But this one loss, maybe because it's described in detail, seems so much more heavy. So why? Why couldn't the dove just have come back? This is the moment where the story turns from survival to renewal. The waters are receding. The ark will soon open and a new world will begin. But the price of that is letting go, even of his favorite pet. This echoes a major biblical motif. To step into a new world, something must be left behind. Noah has let go of the only companion he reached for. It's not a big loss. It's not even named as a grief in the story, but it feels like one. We think of Noah as the man who obeyed, who built the ark, who endured the storm. But in these few verses, we see something else. A man who sees destruction, who waits without answer, who reaches out gently, who loses something small and says nothing about it. There's no rainbow yet. There's no covenant yet. Just this moment, his dove never returned. And the ark, well, it grew a little bit more lonely.